morning, everyone. I'm Ed Deveau, and welcome to this month's edition of Conversations with the Mayor. And with me is Mayor Dan Rizzo. Good morning, Dan. Thank you once again for joining us.
Good morning, Ed. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise. To start off today's segment, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that took place last month, and that was the Interfaith Vigil in front of City Hall. I happened to attend that along with a number of other people. It was a very well-attended event, and I was really taken by the diversity of not only the people who spoke at that event, but the people that were present. And I just wanted to get your thoughts and comments on that.
Yeah, well, obviously, first of all, thank you for attending. Sadly, we came up with the notion of having this interfaith vigil as a result of the marathon bombings that took place in Boston. And we had, as you know, a couple of people from Revere that were injured. We had some first responders that were part of the initial response. And then naturally, at the tail end of it, the Metro North SWAT team, led by our Chief of Police, Joe Caffarelli, actually apprehended the second suspect in the terrorist attack. So, we were obviously tied into that whole thing, as was the entire country. I think everybody was, cognizant of what had happened, and I think everybody had this feeling of wanting to do something to try to help the city, state, country heal from what had happened, and we also wanted to recognize that these people that carry out these attacks are extremists. And you started off by saying the diversity that we shared that day at the vigil. Well, that's something we share every day in the city of Revere now. We're a very diverse, multicultural city, and that in and of itself, I find as a strength that we share as a community. And so while these attacks were carried out by, people that were from an extremist group from overseas, I thought it was important that wasn't a reflection on any particular group that currently resides here in the city of Revere. And so I think showing some solidarity by having religious leaders from all, we had religious leaders here from the Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist. We had virtually every group represented there by clergy. And really in the crowd, I think you'd find, and you may attest to this, Ed, that really the crowd was made up of a diverse group of people. So I think, and it was really heartwarming, for me to see from where I was standing when we had the candlelight phase of that vigil, people lighting each other's candles, and they were lighting each other's candles from all different walks of life. So, it really, to me, was a great show of unity and solidarity, and not only recognizing what had happened in the city of Boston, but recognizing that we are all one. We are one community here in the city of Revere.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. You mentioned about the diversity and religious leaders that were there, and it was really touching to hear, and inspirational to hear, some of their words, their comments, their thoughts. And two that came to mind in particular was the imam from the mosque, when he talked about Allah being God, the same God we all worship. So
Right.
Allah is the same God that Christians and worship as well. So I thought that was an interesting concept. And the pastor or reverend from the Eagle Heights Church was wow, unbelievable, very inspirational to hear him.
He was tremendous, and I think he just he brought it all down. That we're basically talking about how we are one family of God, and regardless which God you pray to, I think at the end of the day we're all together in this.
Yep.
And yeah, he was a real inspiration, as you say. The imam from the Muslim community, I think when he came right out and said, listen, I can't express to you
Yes.
how angry I am over this attack. He said, that could have been my child or my children at the finish line. He said, so I don't condone this, and we don't condone this, whatsoever. And that really resonated with me.
For sure.
The fact that, he's 100% right. I mean, when they carry out these attacks, they don't look through the crowd and see who's in it. That could be anybody from any background. So, it's sad that this is the world, and the reality that we live in. But we just have to be cognizant of it. It's something that they've been dealing with overseas now for a long, long time, and now, unfortunately, we now in America have to deal with this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and certainly it was a healing event, and kind of shed a good light on a very terrible event. So,
yes,
I thought it was very well done. Moving on to other subjects, yesterday we had a visit from the Secretary of Housing and Economic Development, Greg Bielecki.
yes.
We started off at Wonderland about noontime or so yesterday, and then did the tour of Broadway. You want to talk a little bit about that experience, how that came about, and so forth?
Yeah, well, the Secretary has been extremely supportive, obviously, of initiatives that the City of Revere has undertaken. Case in point, the whole Waterfront Square Wonderland project that we've been able to put close to $80 million of public money into to get to the point where now we're going to start to realize some of the private investment. But he's not satisfied with that. He wants to see communities, particularly gateway communities like Revere, continue to prosper and look for other opportunities and ways that the state can continue to help the city grow and succeed with their economic development plan. So he came and spent about 4 or 5 hours with us yesterday, starting down on the beach at Waterfront Square and working his way up to Broadway. And what's really, what I really like about the Secretary and really the governor as well is that they recognize that it's small business. It's not big business. It's not the companies with 300, 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000 jobs that are driving the economy. It's small business. And he took some time to stop into some, to say hello to some small business owners, have a little dialogue with them. And I've always believed that. And we know that. We know that 90% of businesses are made up of small businesses. And so, small businesses are the driving force of this economy, and they want to do whatever they can to help. And he really was excited to hear our plans about the revitalization of Broadway, the public money that we're putting into Broadway to hopefully entice the local business owners and others who may look to invest in our downtown area, invest some money because they see that there's the public commitment. If we let Broadway, which is our central business district, languish and deteriorate and just go to pot and kind of ignore it, if you're an investor, you're a business owner, why do you want to be there? There's no reason for you to be there. But if the city shows a commitment and wanting to have a vibrant downtown and wanting to make the type of investments that business owners look for when they decide to locate their business wherever that it may be, then I think we're going to have a much better chance at attracting those types of businesses that'll be favorable for the city.
Mm-hmm. And talking about that in the whole development area, I mean, it's just wonderful to see. And someone was just telling me the other day that they were coming up from the Chelsea end of Broadway, and they said how wonderful it was to come down Broadway to see the new lamppost and to see all the flagpoles. And they said it was just a very goosebump moment for them, and it was just incredible. So I wanted to pass that on to you from them.
Well, thank you.
Moving on to a related subject, and of course everything, the meeting with the Secretary yesterday and all the work that you and John and the people within your administration have been doing is to promote Revere. Get the word out to the developers, not only within New England, but across the country about Revere and the opportunities that exist here. Recently, it was Today in America, hosted by Terry Bradshaw.
Yes.
Did a segment on Revere.
Yeah.
And I want to introduce to you all this segment, and I think this is the first time it's being seen on TV. Is that correct?
This will be the very first time.
And I'm sure you'll be seeing it again. So at this point, we're going to roll with the segment from Terry Bradshaw in Today in America. Check it out.
Join me, Terry Bradshaw, as I explore all that's new and exciting about the USA and Canada and what people are doing in order to make a difference. It's an easy way to see what's happening across your own country. Welcome to Today in America. A nation's strength comes from its communities where people live, work, and play. Here's one such place folks are proud to call home. Just minutes from Logan International Airport and all the excitement of Boston, Revere, Massachusetts offers a chance to slow down and live an easier lifestyle without missing any of the action.
Revere is an urban community with a suburban feel. We're just 5 minutes from downtown Boston, 5 minutes from Logan Airport. We have a beautiful 2.5-mile Crescent Beach, now a National Historic Landmark. We've got a first-rate education for our children, and really, I believe we have everything here in Revere that somebody would want.
The city's 5.9 square miles serve as home to 52,000 residents and a magnificent 3-mile stretch of beach, a National Historic Landmark as the first public beach in the U.S. Still considered one of the area's finest beaches, Revere Beach is site of the New England Invitational Sand Sculpting Festival, world-renowned, artistically acclaimed, and widely broadcast. A $500 million mixed-use development project is planned for Revere Beach that will add hotels, restaurants, office, and retail space while maintaining the beach's basic charm and appeal.
Governor Patrick and I are very excited to be supporting what's happening in Revere. It really captured a vision for how to create private investment and economic activity there. We've been trying to help by providing public investment, whether it's cleaning up the beach or the new transportation infrastructure. But we're excited by the opportunity because we think the public investment is soon going to be followed by a lot of private investment as well.
The cultural side of the city is rich with theaters, museums, and entertainment venues like the renowned thoroughbred racetrack, Suffolk Downs. The racetrack is being considered as the possible location of a resort-style casino.
Suffolk Downs had a great partnership with the city of Revere since we first opened in 1935. Moving forward, we have a proposal to develop a destination resort casino here, really a world-class resort. We'd like to bring visitors from around the country and around the world and around New England here to Revere and see everything it has to offer.
Education ranks high on the list of priorities for Revere's residents. The city enjoys close proximity to some of the world's most prestigious and productive colleges and universities. The city's public school system has some 6,800 students enrolled and serves as a model of progressive education. Revere Public Schools have garnered numerous state and national honors just in the last few years alone.
Revere Public Schools stands out nationally and in the state because of a concept of high expectations. But we realize it's truly great teaching that makes a difference. Our teachers constantly revisit their practice. They understand that the status quo does not yield success, and they're constantly pioneering redesign and understand that school reform never ends.
A forward-thinking business climate greets new entrepreneurs and existing companies looking for an appropriate community in which to expand.
We have a terrific labor pool here in the city of Revere, just outside of downtown Boston. Very well-skilled and trained labor pool, ready to go to work. We've got tremendous investment opportunities. We have a tremendous economic development team ready and willing to work with developers with a streamlined permitting process in place.
Revere is only 10 minutes from Boston via convenient rail and commuter services.
We have a world-class teaching hospital facility, Mass General Hospital here in Revere, as well as the Cambridge Health Alliance. We've got top-notch facilities for assisted living and long-term care, as well as access to downtown Boston, where many of our world-class hospitals exist.
Benefiting from its proximity to one of America's major urban centers and surrounded by world-renowned tourist attractions, Revere is perfectly positioned to provide its residents everything they need to live, work, and play.
Revere is a wonderful place. It's filled with obviously cultural diversity. It's a beautiful seaside community, and it's a community which is on the move. You only have to look at some of the latest economic development to see that. The Revere is a great place to live, it's a great place to work, and it's a place that's growing by the day.
Okay, well, welcome back. I have to say that was one of the greatest promotional videos I've seen in a long time in terms of the way they promoted the city, and they hit the city on all cylinders, all aspects, all sides, all the things that you've been trying to promote about the city, and I'm sure that just doesn't happen. Just tell us a little bit about how this all came about and some of the planning that went into that.
Well, it was probably maybe 3 or 4 months after I was elected mayor, when I received a phone call from the organization that produces Today in America, and they were talking about putting together a segment for communities in the northeast region of the United States that they felt were worthwhile. And so we went through a questionnaire of sorts that they were going to review to see if it made sense for them to highlight and feature Revere. And thankfully, our responses met their criteria, and so they decided that it was a community that they wanted to feature on their show, which is featured on both Fox and CNN. We're going to be getting the dates. I don't have the dates as of yet as to when it will actually air, but I think it's just another, as you alluded to, Ed, it's another opportunity for the city to showcase all the good things we have going on. So, you know, just another, as I said to John Fester, our Director of Community Development, or Economic Development, I should say, it's just another tool in his toolbox that he'll be able to shoot out to potential investors and developers to show what the city actually does have to offer.
Amen, and, yeah, and you're right, and that's exactly what I was thinking about. You know, as I watched that video before, I thought back to the Economic Development Summit and the video that was created for that, developed for that summit, and I thought that was a very good representation of the city. This takes it to another level.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It's another bullet in his chamber or tool in his toolbox.
Yeah.
And the other thing that came to mind too, as I was watching it, you know, so proud to see, you know, something like that on a national show about the city of Revere, and it took me back to I remember watching one of the Super Bowls one time, and I think it was Don Meredith, when the 27th Lancers were part of the halftime show, talked about the beautiful seaside resort of Revere, Massachusetts, and I went, whoa.
And you know,
Yeah.
you're talking a long time ago. So
Yes.
I mean, that's proof positive that something like that can really have a lasting impact with people as they see it. And I think not only from the perspective of, you know, I'm looking at it as mayor of the city like, oh, a great economic development tool. But as you just alluded to, hopefully it's something that instills pride in our own residents. Like you still carry that today with you know, the 27th Lancers. I mean, you know, so this is something that hopefully people see it. Hey, I live in Revere, and that's the image. That's the image that we are trying to send out there to our own residents and people outside the city. That this is a great place to live.
Yeah, and it is a fantastic image to be presenting. Continuing on with the economic development part, as we were doing the tour on Broadway yesterday, and we all remember the Waugh family who had their, it used to be an auto sales and as well as automotive maintenance repair center. Now that's undergoing some development, and I guess there's another motorcycle company that's coming into Revere besides Harley Davidson, which is going to be in the North Revere section. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, the Waugh family has been there for many, many years.
Yep.
And you know, in a lot of ways, you know, it's you know, kind of a little bittersweet to see them go. I mean, they've been such a staple and part of the fabric of our community for so many years, but at the same time, the land has been valuable enough to attract an organization like Victory Motorcycle, which is right up there with Harley Davidson. And as you know, Harley Davidson is going to be occupying the old Johnny's Food Master over at Linden Square. So we've got actually two new high-end motorcycle facilities, organizations that are going to be locating here in Revere. I'm not sure with Victory, I don't think they're going to be any type of a national or regional headquarters, but I know for Harley Davidson, we are going to be their New England hub, their New England headquarters for all of their dealers. So, it's really, I think, a nice shot in the arm for us to wear that label. And also, nobody likes to see empty buildings. So to be able to, fill up some buildings now, down at Linden Square, beautify that area. I'm sure site plan review, as they always do, is going to require them to do a significant amount of landscape work and streetscape, type investments. So I think that's really going to make that area look really nice as well.
Yeah, and now right across the street from there we have Fenno's, or Reardon's, which used to be Fenno's Corner, and if I remember back, ancient history now, that was one of the trolley stops or stagecoach stops on the road, the post road coming out of Boston going north at one time, going way back when.
Ed, you got me there. I don't know.
Well, yeah, if my memory serves me right, my stint with the Historical Society, I think some of those things actually stuck. But now, today, there's going to be another use of that property. You want to talk about that coming up?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the old, what do you say, stagecoach?
Stagecoach. It used to be a stagecoach stop, and it was called Fenno's at that point, and then it became
Fenno's
Reardon's.
Corner, and then became
Right.
Reardon's.
Right.
Well, my earliest memories is of Reardon's, where, like a lot of people in my age group, we'd find each other there, sometimes late at night over the years, and it was a great spot for people to meet up and hang out and stuff like that. But obviously, every business reaches its time, and so Reardon's closed several years ago, and it left a gaping hole really in a very prominent location in the city to have something vibrant going on there. So Ann Houston and neighborhood developers came in and purchased the property, and now they're slated to put up a building that, at least as it currently sits, put up 48 units of apartment units, senior housing, 55 and over, with the first floor slated as office/retail, whatever uses that the city deems favorable for that location.
Yeah, that's going to be a great location. Any sort of time frame as to when they'll be doing that?
I don't have an exact time frame. It's going to be, right now they're doing their due diligence and trying to figure out exactly how many units will fit there. They're going to obviously need some sort of, I believe they're going to need some sort of variance on the parking. But if I could just say, because I've heard some rumbling about, wow, this could potentially be another 250 Broadway, which historically has caused some problems with the city. That could not be further from the truth. I mean, first of all, this is a 55 and over project, and in order for them to even build this, they are counting on money from the federal government that is going to mandate that this building is a 55 and over. Now, of these 48 units that are being built, 75% of those units are one bedroom. That is not conducive to having children in those units. The remaining 12 units are going to be two bedroom. And could you potentially get a kid with a 50, as long as one is 55 and over? Yeah, you possibly could get a child or two or three, but it's not going to be the same type of situation. This is truly, we have identified a need that Ann Houston of Neighborhood Developers has responded to, and that is one that we really truly need senior housing. And a lot of seniors want to get out of their big homes, the big houses that they've had for so many years, and downsize a little bit, but not have to move 15, 20 miles away. So this will be an opportunity for them to stay here right in the city that they've lived in some cases, their whole lives.
Their whole lives. And who wants to leave Revere at this point in time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Not a good time to leave.
You mentioned the Neighborhood Development Group, and I've heard that name a lot recently with a number of projects going on in the city. You want to talk a little bit about them and their role in some of the developments that's going on?
Yeah, Neighborhood Developers essentially comes in, looks for blighted or vacant property that they think that they might find some useful purpose for, and then they seek out whether it's tax credits or grants or any type of other state or federal funding that will help them build something that typically centers around housing units. But in this case, as I alluded to, there's going to be some office and retail on the first floor of this particular structure. But they come in and basically take buildings that have been a blight for a long, long time in many cases and make them something positive, like the old Walden fire station off of Shirley Ave. Mm-hmm. If you've ever had a chance to walk through there, it's beautiful, and it's all residential, but and again, it's 55 and over. There's one child that lives there, but what a great bunch of people live there. I've had the chance to go down and visit with them, and great people living there. They're grateful for what neighborhood developers have done. They started off, they used to be known as the Chelsea Neighborhood Developers. They just recently changed their name to Neighborhood Developers because they are doing work now in Revere, not only Chelsea, but they took an entire neighborhood in Chelsea called the Box District, and they have converted that entire neighborhood. If you could see the transformation that they've done from probably one of the most rundown parts of Chelsea, and what you see down there now is it's absolutely incredible. You would never recognize the old Box District. Yeah. This is just a completely new and vibrant neighborhood that they've created. So they're bringing a lot of those same talents and a lot of those same initiatives to our city to try to take property that has been neglected or just been vacant for a long time and turn it into a useful building or structure that the city can put on its tax rolls and actually find good use for. So they've been a great asset.
Yeah, and as you said, it's so important to take those vacant, rundown buildings and to turn them into something very positive and good looking, and that's going to be exciting to see as it all develops. So we've got Victory, we've got the senior housing that's going to take place at Fenno's Corner. FKO is going to be taking the 85 Broadway building and doing some work at the beginning of Broadway there. So all up that area, that new building and the rehab that took place where the police substation is, and I forgot the address of that building, across from City Hall, that's looking unbelievable.
Oh, yes. Yeah. They've done a great job over there. In fact, the owner of the property, I remember right after he rehabbed it, he sent me a text message and said, just rented to 2 Harvard students, so, I mean, it's important to us, obviously every community wants to attract the right clientele. Yep. I'm not saying everyone's going to be a Harvard student or anything like that. I'm not a Harvard student. Yep. But, it's good to know that we're reaching out beyond our own borders, that people are starting to sit up and pay attention, that Revere could be a nice place to live. Yeah. Whether you're a graduate student, whether you're, across the street at the other apartment building that had been neglected for so long.
Same owner. Yep.
Same owner. I think he served about 15 or 20 eviction notices when he bought it. He's got an MIT professor living over there. So, we are, the city is, I feel it, I sense it. The city is going through a little bit of a transformation. And I believe as time goes along, you're going to see this, as Secretary Bielecki alluded to yesterday, the city's going to continue to grow and become a real prominent fixture on the North Shore.
Yeah, and to your point about the 2 Harvard students, and I think one of the other points that Secretary Bielecki brought up yesterday is that, Cambridge, Boston, Somerville, they're all running out of room. There's no more where they can go, so people are looking for other places to come, and we're positioning Revere to be that sort of place for other people to come to.
No question about it.
Yeah. Well, it is certainly, in my estimation, it's been a long time. I've only been here since '65. It's been a while, but I still consider myself somewhat of a transplant. In all of those years, I used to look at the beach and look at the development in other places and say, why not us? And as I said to Secretary Bielecki yesterday, finally, thank God it's happening. And I really, truly believe that. And it's great to be here, to be witnessing it.
Yeah.
And and I know Tom Ambrosino had some role in trying to lay the foundation with a lot of the things your administration has been doing. Unbelievable, and I just say thank you to all of you, for Revere. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Ed.
Okay. Well, once again, our conversations with the mayor. We'll talk to you next month on some other subjects. I'm sure there will be fun. Take care.